What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys, and today we are going to be discussing the top 4 race. Now the European schedule has done for the quarterfinals, we kind of know that the coefficient is probably not going to be working in our favour.
Never say never. Never say never.
But it's looking very unlikely, let's say, with England in third at the moment behind Germany and Italy.
I think Opta have currently given it a 1.1% chance.
So there's a chance.
There is a chance. Basically, as for the coefficient for 5th place to be Champions League, essentially Villa need to win all 3 of their games, and I think Germany need to lose all of their games. So.
Yeah, because there are 3 German clubs left in it: Dortmund, Bayern, both in separate sides of the draw as well, and Bayer Leverkusen, who knocked out West Ham last night. So look, it's going to be a tall order for England to make that 2nd spot in the coefficient. So it looks like Spurs will have to get that 4th spot if we want to play Champions League football next year. So we're going to have a look at Villa and Tottenham's run-in from now until the end of the season, and we're going to make a bit of a prediction about where we think these 2 clubs are going to end up.
Yeah, so at the moment, obviously, Villa have a 3-point advantage and a goal difference advantage going into the run-in. We do have a game in hand, so we have 6 games, they have 5 games, and the run-in does read for interesting reading, I would say. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Spurs for sure have the tougher games, but Villa's games are by no means easy, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, so if you bring up the fixtures, as you can see in the top 4 race on screen now, Villa currently in 4th, Spurs in 5th. They're giving it a 70% possibility rating that Aston Villa will finish in that 4th spot, with obviously Spurs with 30%. You're looking at the fixtures, on the face of it, with the teams that we have left to play, we've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, and then obviously Burnley and Sheffield United as well. 3 of the 3 teams in the title running race, so we're going to have a big say in that sense. We've also got Chelsea, who's starting to come into a bit of form as well, and we've also got Burnley and Sheffield United, who could be all but down by the time. Well, Sheffield United will be down by the time we play them, last game of the season, and Burnley most likely will be very close to being down at the time we play them as well. When you're looking at Villa's run-in, you got to also put into account that they've got European football to play as well. They are in the semi-finals of the Europa League, which will come in between their Brighton and Liverpool. So the 2nd leg will be before Liverpool. The 1st leg will be before Brighton. So if you look at their fixtures, Bournemouth at home, who are no slouches, they're in good form. Chelsea at home, like I said, they're starting to get to grips with things a little bit.
Beaten 3-1 in the FA Cup as well.
That's true. Brighton away, who Brighton have lost 2 games at home all season, so it's not exactly the easiest fixture. Liverpool, who are Liverpool, and then Crystal Palace on the last game of the season, where Oliver Glasner just went to Anfield and won, so that's not a give-me game.
And also,
either.
if they're in the final of the Conference League, maybe they'll have half an eye on that.
True.
If they're going to that last game of the season.
That's true. So me and Tim have both done predictions of how many points both teams we think both teams are going to get. So let's have a look at them.
What's also interesting, just looking at the fixtures before we get into that, is before we next play, Villa are going to have played twice. So come the North London derby, we're going to have 3 games in hand on Aston Villa. So it'll be very interesting to see how their next 2 games play out. And if they don't get wins in those games, all of a sudden you could be looking at the table, we could be like 3 or 4 points behind with 3 games in hand.
It's true. It is true. But having said that, those 3 games in hand are Arsenal at home, Chelsea away, and Man City at home.
Yeah, not the easiest games in hand, but they're still games in hand nonetheless. Albeit, and just to add into that, I think we're one of the best teams when it comes to getting points off the top teams. We've beaten Liverpool, maybe a bit luckily. We got a draw against Arsenal at the Emirates. We got a draw against Man City as well. So we do have decent form against the top teams this season so far.
Yeah, I do think the way the top teams play suits our style of play more. I mean, we struggle a lot more when we play the kind of low block teams. I think that's just the reality. But look, let's get into the predictions. We'll start off, well, we've got both of them on screen. As you can see, Spurs' predictions. I've gone for a win. Well, we've both gone for wins against Arsenal in the North London derby. I've gone for a draw away at Chelsea. I've gone for a loss away at Liverpool, a win against Burnley, a loss against Man City, and a win against Sheffield United.
And I've gone,
which will leave us on 70 points.
Yeah, I've gone for a win against Arsenal. Then I've gone for back-to-back away losses against Chelsea and Liverpool. I can imagine the meltdown after that. A win at home to Burnley, a draw at home to City, and a win away at Sheffield United. Obviously, I've taken our home form into account, which has been quite good recently. I think if you look at just current home form, I think we're second in the home form table at the moment. Overall, in the Premier League this season, I think we're about fourth, but we're in very good home form. I think 8 of our last 9 we've won. Obviously, Chelsea and Liverpool away, we've got horrible records there, and I'm not that confident going into those games. But I think North London derby, Arsenal play, I think 2 more times before they play us. So we've got a bit of a break, and maybe we can take that energy and use that motivation of stopping Arsenal in their title race to really win that North London derby. And then obviously Burnley and Sheffield United, we have to win those games, no doubt about it. Obviously City at home, that will be a very interesting one. A lot will depend on what the state of play is in the title come that game, but we do have a good record at home to City and a good home record, so I think we can get a point off them.
How does it work with the title? If Man City need to beat us to win the title that day, will they lift the trophy at Spurs?
Not if they had
the last home game of the season.
It'll be the last home game. So I don't know if they have a home game on the last day or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So if they do, then if not. But yeah, so that's the kind of how I've seen Spurs. We've actually both gone for Spurs to finish on 70 points, which means Spurs picking up another 10 points from now to the end of the season.
Which is a 10-point increase in last season. We did finish on 60 points last season, so I think it's a good return. The kind of my thinking behind these Spurs results, I'm looking at Arsenal and I'm looking at the way they're playing and the results they're getting at the moment, as well as having 2 games this week and Spurs at the end of the week. I think that there'll be just way too many games for Arsenal to handle all these fixtures all at once, and you're already starting to see a few cracks in the Arsenal performances, with obviously losses at home to Aston Villa, Bayern Munich dumping them out the Champions League as well. So I think Spurs with a 2-week break, it'll really come in hand, and we'll win that game. Chelsea away is always a difficult game, isn't it? It's always a difficult game, as well as Chelsea do seem to be turning somewhat of a corner. I think no team in the last 5 games has got more points than Chelsea on the board. But I just feel like we can go there and get a point. I don't think we're going to lose, and I think win will be very difficult. Liverpool away is Liverpool away. We'll probably perform really well, like we do usually up there, but then lose the game, and they'll probably want a bit of revenge as to how we did beat them at the beginning of the season. Burnley and Sheffield United should be givens. And Man City at home, yes, we do have a good record against Man City at home, but I think this game is going to mean a lot more to Man City than it probably will mean to us at that stage of the season. So I do think Man City are probably going to do a number on us. But it's interesting to see how we've both got to the 70-point mark, but in a different way.
Different results. But, both, I don't think we're being completely unfair. I think, it's in terms of the City, Liverpool and Arsenal games, I don't think it's that unlikely we pick up one win out of those 3. I mean, you could say, well, not favourite to any of them, so maybe it's unrealistic to win any of them. But, considering how we've played against some of the top sides this season, I don't think it's completely out of the realms of possibility to pick up one win. So whether that be against Arsenal, Liverpool or Man City, albeit not sure which one, but we won with it being Arsenal.
Well, let's go and have a look and ruin their title hopes as well in the meantime. But let's look at the Aston Villa predictions. Both gone for draws in the Bournemouth game, and then they do play Chelsea at home, and then Brighton away. I've gone for a draw, you've gone for a loss. Liverpool at home, you've gone for them to beat Liverpool at home in their only win in the last 5 games of the season.
I have. I'm looking at Liverpool at the moment, especially I saw them in the second half against Atalanta. I thought they were dreadful in that second half. They seem to be running out of mentally running out of energy, it seems to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a drop-off from now to the end of the season. I think in this game, I don't know whether obviously they'll be off the back of a trip to Greece, but I reckon they'll be really, really up for it, because obviously it's a massive game against Liverpool. They know they're not going to be underestimating them. I think Liverpool might be on the downward turn as well. I just got a feeling they're going to win at Villa Park against Liverpool in this one. And
then last but not least is Palace away. Obviously, you probably imagine that Villa will be getting ready for the cup final against, well, we don't know who against, but in the Conference League. I've still gone for them to win that game. and Sim's gone for them to draw.
Yeah, I think Palace's last home game of the season, Glasgow want to end the season really well with momentum building into next season. Obviously, he's starting to get a few results recently with them as well, going to make things very difficult. I think these are the kind of teams Villa don't really like to play against, and obviously if Eze and Elise are available, I can really see them exploiting that Villa high line. And as well, I wouldn't be surprised if they've got half an hour on that cup final if they are there. So I can see them dropping points at Selhurst Park on the last day.
It's actually mad. Since Villa lost to Spurs 4-0, they've won 2 games since then, right? They've won against Wolves and they've won against Arsenal. So if you take your predictions into account, including what's happened, so in 11 games, 3 wins, 2 against Liverpool, Arsenal, and then obviously the Wolves game, and the rest not to win.
Is that 11 games?
Yeah.
Wow.
Since the Spurs game. That's mad.
That would be mad form. That would be a big drop off. But I'm not having them losing. I think draws is what's going to cost Villa. I think I'm not sure if they have it in them to win them. I'm not saying they're a bad team. They're going to just go on a losing streak. But I think drawing and dropping a lot of points, I can see Villa doing that.
Well, that is our predictions.
So you've gone for Villa to get 71.
Yeah, I've gone for Villa to pip us to 4th in 71 points and us getting 70. And Sim has gone for us to just pip Villa in 4th and Villa getting 69 and Tottenham getting 70. I mean, when you were doing your predictions, did you take into account Spurs' fixtures, or was it just straight up Villa's fixtures with no bias at all?
Of course, no bias. Never any bias. Never any bias. None at all.
Yeah, I'm sure we all believe that. But look, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let us know individually how many points do you think Spurs are going to get and Villa get by the end of the season? Who is going to make that 4th spot? But I think if it still pans out the way that I predicted it to pan out, I as much as I would like to see us play Champions League football, I won't be disheartened by the fact that we do finish 5th and get Europa League.
What's interesting on how I have in my predictions, so we'll be going into the final day 1 point behind Villa would be going in on the final day, and I've got them to bottle it on the final day. That's what I've done. But yeah, look, is what it is. If we get Europa League, that's where we deserve to be. I would argue, with the fixtures we have left, if we do get Champions League from this position, we'll deserve that as well, because we've got couldn't get harder fixtures than we've got. Absolutely.
And if we do that and go on a good run from now to the end of the season, I feel like you can probably take that form into next season as well.
Yeah, I think the squad will really use that as something to build on.
A lot of belief
season.
From that.
100%.
A lot of belief.
So I think it's really important we in these games against the top 3 really give our all and really show what we can do and what we're about. And if we can get results in those games, I think that's a really good building block. Because to say look what we did against the top 3 on our day, we can match them. It's all about next season getting that consistency and getting that week in, week out.
Yeah. Well, let us know your thoughts in the top 4 race in the comments section below. That is our 2 cents worth on it. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.